Hello class, this is Karen Balkanoff, and I am here today with a video on our syllabus. I like to take a moment to review it with you. It's something that I feel it's important that I have an opportunity to enforce or clarify things that are on the syllabus, and of course give you an opportunity then later to email me with any questions you have. So it is pretty standard. I just want to kind of go over a couple things. First of all, of course, my contact information. I do not know right now where I'm going to be every day. I do go to all 3 campuses every week. I don't have my schedule set, so as soon as I have that set, I'll let you know. It's always best to make an appointment, though, because I may be drawn away to another campus unexpectedly or not on my schedule. So, you know, just let me know if you want to stop by. But also know that you have my cell and text. Please put it in your phone. Please save it, and know that you can call or text anytime and just be considerate of our time. So I put a little disclaimer on here because one of the biggest complaints I have every year, every semester, is that students complain that teachers take off points for spelling, but then teachers have spelling errors. Yes, I know that happens. I know that we are rushing, we may not pay 100% attention, and I understand that. But we have already received our degrees, so while you are receiving your degree, you just need to make sure you pay attention to detail and make sure you follow directions. So thank you for understanding that and understanding the point that we need to hold you accountable and hopefully a high standard. All this is pretty standard, but I do want to start here with just some basic things. All your papers need to be in APA format. APA, as I mentioned, is not just about citations, and it's about writing well. It's about sending good emails and doing good research and extending to your oral communication. If you write well, you tend to speak well. And I hope that's something that you find after this semester. Your writing will be more concise and it'll be a lot clearer, and I think you'll see a big difference. Of course, right now, all you're doing is dreading it, and I know that. So just bear with us a couple months here, and we'll get you through this class. There is an APA template under Course Resources. I showed that to you in the navigation video. I mean for you to use that and just plug in the information. I don't want you to worry about the formatting of the paper, just the writing of the paper. I do not allow quotes in my class, which means copying from one source and putting it in another with quotation marks. The reason for that is students would take advantage of it and have more quotes than written words from them, and so I had to stop the quoting. You probably can quote in other classes, so that's fine, but in my class, you will not be able to. Please make sure all your papers are submitted using Word and none of the non-Word products. I just cannot bring them up in Blackboard. If you have trouble or don't have Microsoft Word, there is a student version that you can use. I talked about spelling a little bit, but also contractions. Contractions are considered slang or conversational writing and not considered part of the business or academic writing. So please no contractions. I do not accept late assignments. The reason for that is you have a deadline. You need to keep to the deadline. In a business, you would not want to ask for an extension in normal cases, but you know, following directions is the biggest hint or tip, I guess, I can give you. If you follow the directions, what you've done is going to be okay. It might have some edits, but it's going to still be okay, and that's really the most important thing to remember, paying attention to detail and following directions. If you have missed a test or an assignment, you can make those up. It is at the discretion of me, but if you have an unfortunate incident, and I'm really extending that out to other things because I know that you all work, you all have families, you all have life, and I try really hard not to be unreasonable. You know, people take advantage of that, so I really have to, you know, have some standards, and so if you miss something, just let me know and let me work with you. I cannot let you make up discussions because they are timely, they're time sensitive, so only the assignments or tests. You have to follow up with me, though. I'm not going to follow up with you and wonder why you didn't do your test. You need to make sure you follow up with me. Rubrics are located at the end of the syllabus, so please take a look at those and see how your assignments will be graded. And finally, I am asking and I'm begging for you to check your emails every day, and that's the Vikings email as well as the Blackboard email. Everything we send out is meant to be informative. I try not to send things out that are just a waste of your time. So when I try to contact students, it's important that it's usually important information. So please check your email frequently, hopefully daily. I don't typically give incomplete, so we can pass through that. Attendance policy, believe it or not, on an online environment there is a attendance policy, and right here, during a traditional semester, 3 instructional hours of attendance equals 1 week's missed work. If a student misses a week's worth of work in a distance learning course, he or she may receive a warning for non-attendance. So that's important to remember. And you know, most of the time, the weekly assignments are just one assignment. It may take you a few hours, which is where you get those instructional hours come into play. So if you start missing more than 1 week of work, I have the option of receiving a warning and possibly even dropping you from the course. Academic integrity, nobody has non-integrity. You know, just don't cheat. Don't do anything wrong. There is a section in the student handbook, but really plagiarism and cheating are the biggest things that they review. It's always the #1 thing that students are told, because it's really the cheating part, especially because you know you're being held to that standard, and you just don't want to cheat through your degree. If you are a student with a disability, I will receive some information from the disability coordinator in the advising office. And if you have any additional information you need to give me, feel free to email me that. And your grading scale, how many of everything you're going to have and what it's worth. We are going to use Turnitin. If you don't have an account now, please go on to Turnitin.com and create an account. The information for you to access this class is located here, the class ID and the enrollment key. So this is the information you need to create a Turnitin account. Also, I'm just going to review this real fast. So each assignment is going to have the main submission in Turnitin and then some revisions. So when you first submit to Turnitin, and by the way, there is a video on this, so if you need further help with Turnitin, just watch the video. But when you submit your first submission, if you have over 0%, please pull it up and look at it. Even if it was a couple percent, 3, 4, 5, you could have a sentence that's copied and it would lead to plagiarism. So please look at it, but certainly if you're over 10%, you need to rewrite it, but also resubmit it, and resubmitting it under the assignment with the words revision behind it, because then it's not going to think that you have copied the whole paper again. It's just, it knows that you've already submitted it, and it's kind of just looking for the changes. So that's important to remember. Here are the rubrics for you to review for all the assignments and discussions, and the assignment schedule. So as I showed you in the navigation video, I have set everything up in weekly instructions with the weeks split out, and that's how your syllabus is split out. So here is that information. I've kind of showed you a little bit of that navigation here to get to week 1. The only thing due in week 1 is to watch the videos and to complete the acknowledgement of the class contract. So that's a pretty easy week. And then week 2, we are going to have an APA rules quiz. You do need to have your manual for that. And the quiz is basically going to have a statement, a rule that's found in the manual, and you just need to tell me what section that rule's in. For instance, if it's talking about putting a comma before the and or the or in a series of 3, you would find where in the manual it says to do that. And so there are several of those, and it's to help you navigate around the manual, but it's also to help you learn some of the rules. I'm going to kind of skip forward here to our first assignment, which is in a few weeks. And I will tell you, the first 2 written assignments, if you follow directions, you will get full credit, regardless of your writing. Because this is your learning curve, I'm going to mark them up. And I do an extensive markup when I review papers, and I write things out and explain it and stuff. So I hope that you appreciate the response. It does take me a couple days to do, so I can't turn it over overnight, but it's important to remember, if you follow directions, you will get the credit, okay? So in this case, you're going to pick one of the following topics, either nonverbal communication, PowerPoint, or business writing, and you're going to, in your paper, explain the importance of learning the skill, explain important aspects of the skill, and explain good important elements of the skill. Now, when you are writing your paper, and you might remember way back in elementary school, we were taught to readdress the question, but in the form of a statement. And that way the teacher knows that you've addressed the question. So in this case, I would recommend that your sentence would start with the importance of learning the skill of nonverbal communication, blah, blah, blah. And that way I can follow along with what is required. You do need to get 1 peer-reviewed journal article to support your response. So if you do PowerPoint presentations, you need to look for a peer-reviewed journal article that talks about PowerPoint presentations, and you need to refer to that and cite it and reference it in your paper. Now, there is a video on finding peer-reviewed journal articles, but I can't emphasize enough that our librarians are more than happy to help you. There are resources all over the place for you to look for articles and how to find articles, but particularly meeting or talking with a librarian is one of the best ways if you need help. And couple things to keep in mind when you're looking for articles is, in the BAS, you cannot use an article that is older than 5 years. Because of the way things change so quickly, information could be archaic by the time 5 years comes around. So it needs to be published within 5 years, and the research cannot have been conducted in a foreign country, and the authors cannot be foreign. If the authors are from America, but the people that they questioned were from India, you cannot use that article, because what's happened is because of cultures and the way other countries work and respond to things, it's not representative of the United States. So to say that somebody in Japan is going to have the same emotional intelligence as people in the United States, it's not going to happen. So to talk about an article in Japan just isn't relevant to the United States, and so we ask that you don't use those foreign articles. In this assignment, your minimum page length is 2 pages, and I mean 2 pages. I don't mean all but 1 line of one and a lot of lines, but I would recommend that you bump it to the 3rd page, and that way you're sure that you've met that 2-page requirement. I don't like to give a lot of length requirements because I don't want you to fluff it up just to get to that length, but I know that these assignments warrant more than 2 pages, so I know that you can write that more than 2 pages. Now this also needs to be in APA format, and you need to submit to turn it in. So when I say following directions, I mean that you have picked the topic I put down, you answered those questions, you used a peer-reviewed journal article, you submitted to turn it in. It's published within 5 years, and the research is not in a foreign country. That's following directions. If you do all those things, it doesn't matter what you write, I will correct it and you will get credit. So it's a matter of reviewing what the directions are before you submit and just making sure you understand what's expected. And if you don't understand, please ask. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to guide you and explain things, and because we are online, it's difficult to do unless I know what questions you have. So please know that I'm here to help you. I'm going to review this last thing, and then I'm going to probably break into some smaller videos for some of the other projects that we have. Every student will submit a recorded discussion this semester. So in week 4, you'll see that recorded discussion. We have Chris Bowling, Shakira, Diamond, Joshua, and Ashley. So those 5 students are going to find a current event, hopefully fairly recent, having to do with management. They're going to record themselves talking about that article, that current event. They're going to create 2 questions for the class to answer based on that article. Questions could be something like, what is your opinion of this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What further information would you want to review to come to a decision? Any of those type of things to just get the students kind of thinking about your current event. So when you find that current event and you create your questions and you record the current event, you're going to go to your discussion post, which will be located under the week 4 link, and you're going to start one thread, and you're going to put your video in there. You're going to upload the video and write your 2 questions out. That information needs to be submitted by the Friday of the week. So in this case, by September 15th of week 4, the 5 students who are recording need to have their information posted. All the other 25 students in the class need to answer the 2 questions from each recording. So the whole class, 25 students, are going to watch the 5 recordings and answer their 2 questions. They don't have to be extremely lengthy. You don't have to have a citation or look for any articles. Really just your opinion. Now keep in mind that I still don't want slang. We don't want contractions. We want it to make sense. It still needs to be written well, but it's meant to have you think about the event. What would you do if you were in that situation? Hopefully this makes sense. If you have questions, by all means. If you have one, I'm sure everybody else is thinking the same thing, and all you need to do is let me know what that would be. Also, in week 4, you want to study for test number 1, which is going to be offered in week 5. So I'm going to end this review here. I'm going to do some other reviews as we go throughout the semester to kind of continue on. I don't want you to be overwhelmed with the information that what we're working on. So I'm going to go ahead and end that here. So if you have questions, by all means, you know how to find me, and I will look forward to talking to all of you.